Garage peeps. I'm Buzz Rankin.
And I am the Common Patriot. Welcome to the Garage.
Yeah, welcome to the Garage, guys. Been a couple of weeks. Patriot's been doing a little traveling. We've had all kinds of little visitors and craziness going on, but we're back in the garage this week.
But we've made very good use of the time.
We have. We've worked on a few things, and with that said, we also want to make sure that you always know about going to www.garagepolitics.com or .net if you're nostalgic. It doesn't matter either way. You'll get there all the same. Check it out. We got all of our little links there. There's archives. There's old shows and everything. You can go to all the social media links to Rumble, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all the goodies, whatever your preference is. If you go to YouTube and Rumble, hit a like, hit a follow, and help us keep growing.
Yes.
Because that's always a good thing.
We'd like to keep growing.
I won't say anything. That was bad. That was bad. But, yeah, so we had a chance to discuss some things, Patriot and I, on how to proceed forward with the show. So we made sure to, like
Little tweaks,
Yeah,
little adjustments.
tweaks. Nothing major. Nothing
Some things
major.
to increase the entertainment value.
Like Buzz being Buzz. And not being so serious all the time.
Why so serious?
And as always, we got our little co-host here, Subliminal Trump, right over here. You can see
Ultraman.
Ultraman, but Subliminal Trump, that always goes well. Lots happening all over and everything, so it's been kind of crazy while we've been gone the past couple of weeks. All kinds.
It has been. It has been. It's been. Well, it's not just crazy. It's been frustrating.
Frustrating.
We missed the whole balloon thing, but
I know. It's so funny you say that. I saw a social media post this morning.
Yeah.
And a guy saying, damn, I thought I saw another Chinese spy balloon the other day. Realized it was just a drop of bird crap.
Now, look, on a totally crazy note, right? Obviously, this is rhetorical because we're pre-recording this, but I think real quick when you guys are watching this later, how many of you remember Nana's song from the 80s, 99, well, it was 99 Luft balloons,
yeah.
but it was 99 red balloons in English,
Yes,
right?
yes.
You guys remember that song? So,
Did somebody make a spoof
no,
on that?
dude,
No?
seriously, I want you to check this out because I did not remember the lyrics, right?
Okay.
Except a few sporadic lyrics. So I'm just going to, real quick, I want to read a couple of verses out of the lyrics.
I heard this like 20 times the other day on Valentine's Day because, like, if
Did you hear the English version though, or was it the German version?
I heard both of them because Nana was actually hosting on satellite radio.
Satellite radio?
Yeah, the whole segment.
Get this, man. This was crazy when I was reading. I'm not going to try to read it along with the music. I just want to read the words.
Go ahead.
So, floating in the summer sky, panic bells, it's red alert. There's something here from somewhere else. The war machine springs to life, opens up one eager eye, focusing it on the sky. To worry, super scurry, call the troops out in a hurry. This is what we've waited for. This is it, boys. This is war. 99 nights of the air ride super high-tech jet fighters. Everyone's a superhero. Everyone's a Captain Kirk with orders to identify, to clarify, and classify. Scramble in the summer sky. It just struck me because there was all this hoopla over the balloons.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
And when you listen to the rest of the song was basically about them just buying some balloons in a toy shop and letting them go.
Yeah.
Right? And it set off the whole war machine. Like everybody went totally nuts. And I think actually at the end of the song it talks about the town was just totally destroyed.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It struck me the other day because I was, we're still before this, right after the balloon thing.
Yeah.
When I saw that and I was like, oh my God, it's just like she was, it was just too funny. Anyway.
It is. You know what's sad? I mean, we grew up on the song that was back in the 80s and everything, but all I can ever envision when I hear the song now is the scene from Drew Barrymore in The Wedding Singer where she's got the headphones on and she's singing with the song.
And she's singing with it.
And I can't help it. It's no secret. I have the biggest crush in the world on Drew Barrymore. Always have. Love her to death. Yeah. But anyways, all right.
That was... I'm sorry.
Way to start the show, guys. That's what we're doing here. So it's
you had to see me the other day when I was writing the notes down on that. I was just cracking up. I was.
They're already watching. All of the viewers are going, "What the hell? New format? It sucks already. They're already off
format.
They're off already in another time zone or something going on. But with that, maybe we need to get a little patriotic and.
Time for a constitutional moment?
I think it's time for a constitutional moment. So, as we lead in, coming across the cresting waves of the Atlantic Ocean, as we approach the coast into the garage, where awaits one common patriot who dares to share the vast knowledge that is the United States Constitution.
Wow. How momentous. Hey, guess what? We're going to finish Article 1, Section 2.
Sweet!
Okay.
Dude!
2 more clauses left, 4 and 5. We're going to wipe them out tonight.
Sweet. That's going to be a good thing.
So,
cheers.
Yes. Absolutely. Article 1, Section 2, Clause 4. When vacancies happen in the representation from any state, the executive authority thereof shall issue writs of election to fill such vacancies. Simple stuff, right?
Pretty
no big
simple
deal. As with previously noted items that we've talked about, the founders wanted this to be as close to the people as possible, and they felt that the executive of the state should handle these special elections, right? Because they're also elected by the people. So that one was pretty straightforward. There were some other discussions in there that I didn't think, again, get the book, get your own copy of it and read it. There's lots of interesting information behind that. Now, the other one I thought was more interesting in here was in Clause 5. There's 2 little subsections for Clause 5. The first part, House of Representatives shall choose. I love the fact that in the original text, choose was spelled C-H-U-S-E, choose.
Okay.
Shall choose their speaker and other officers. The Speaker of the House goes all the way back to 1377 in England. Right, it was part of the Parliament. This is an extremely powerful member of Congress and one of the most powerful positions in D.C. Now, it made note that at various times, from the beginning all the way up through our founding and that, the Speaker of the House was really powerful. Committee appointments, everything, okay?
Right. Okay.
At various times over the course of our history, they've tried to reduce the power of the Speaker. At one point, they were sort of, they didn't have near as much power. In the 70s, it was reconsolidated, basically, and majority of those powers came back with review on committee appointments and stuff like that, which, for example, Kevin McCarthy just utilized to keep, Eric Swalwell and the other dingbat off of the, good God, the Intelligence Committee.
I was going to say,
sorry,
having problems
totally,
with this one?
Mind went completely
Look at your
blank for a
notes.
second.
Look at your notes.
No.
Okay.
So he kept Swalwell and Adam Schiff off the Intelligence Committee. But also, and I don't know, I missed the news story on Ilhan Omar. They were trying to keep her off off one of the committees. And the Democrats were fighting back, and they eventually pushed and said, nope, not letting her on there. But it falls under the elections have consequences deal, right?
Right.
The House Speaker should have some power to do these things,
Should.
and they do. They have a fair amount of power, but it's also another reason why what was bounced around in my brain when I was looking at these, it's these things that we don't discuss and review daily in our lives, especially for the average person in the country. You got to understand how this stuff works. This is important. The fact that you turn over control of the House to one party or another means you're giving control of one of the most powerful positions in Washington to the people in that party.
Yes.
Right? And
yes.
it has a bearing on how things go every day. So anyway, that was the first part of Clause 5. And then the last part is one of our favorites, of course, and shall have the sole power of impeachment, which, by the way, the Democrats used to excess while Trump was president. So there are a variety of issues that go along with this power. The Constitution leaves the question of the proceedings open, right? It says they have the sole power to do this. It's generally handled by the Judiciary Committee. The chairman of the Judiciary Committee recommends the managers, and these are your prosecutors for an impeachment if it goes forward. The sole power is universally agreed to be political and therefore not reviewable by the judiciary. That's important because it means the court can't come back and say, no, you can't do that because of, no, it's none of their business. It's a political option for holding politicians accountable, which is important when we get here in a second. The question of whether or not the House must monitor the behavior of politicians is thought to be, by many, pretty much along the lines of the discretion permitted to prosecutors, right? So a prosecutor has very wide latitude in their decision to prosecute or not prosecute a given defendant, okay? However, Hamilton stated in Federalist number 77, to wrap this up, that the nation would find, quote, Republican, unquote, safety from a presidential abuse of power by the mode of his election and by his, quote, being at all times liable to impeachment, unquote. So, yes, we want the House to have latitude to make this decision, but Hamilton wanted to enforce the idea that it was something we really ought to be mindful of, because it is one of our greatest tools to say to the president, no, not acceptable. Sorry, that's not going to work.
Keeping him in check.
Yes. And that is this week's constitutional moment. Short, sweet, and to the point.
Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
You like that?
Yeah, I do. I do. Now what are you doing? You're digging for quotes over there. Nope. Got quotes for later.
I have a quote for later.
You have a quote for a quote.
Quote. I have a quote that I've saved.
A quote. Well, that's a good thing.
I just wanted to make sure I still had it bookmarked.
Absolutely. So that was a good constitutional moment. So now with that, you said we'd be moving on to
Article 1, Section 3, about the Senate. Now we begin. That was all information about the House.
The House, right. So now we're going to be moving on
and we're
to
going to move
Senate.
on to the Senate starting next week.
So there you go, folks. Something to look forward to if you're wondering when we were going to cover that.
By the way,
there so it be.
There's a payoff to all of this.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
So and I'll try to sort of devote more or less time depending on the section and its importance.
Right.
The idea is to get to the end of this, and there is a mode of thinking regarding our future conversations and shows and discussions that we have that tie back to this, so that whenever we get into one of these discussions about things, especially when we start taking calls and we go live, is to be able to tell the viewers, hey, refer back to this discussion. Remember this discussion?
Right.
We've covered this. This is important. This is why this all hinges on that. Anyway.
Well, there you go.
Okay.
Good
now
deal.
I'm quiet.
You don't have to be quiet, man, because we're getting ready to go into some debating here. I got something new and fun.
Do you now?
Yeah.
I can't wait for this. I'm looking forward to this.
Something that just kind of eats at me all the time. You witness it. You're always seeing it.
Just
headlines.
Just one thing?
No. It's a whole system.
Okay.
It's a whole system. And with that said, let's go into our news.
Well done.
You like that, do you?
I like that.
So I figured what we need to do here in the garage is we need to start talking about our judicial system.
Okay.
I'm
all for that.
And the thing is, I don't think this is something we could just hammer out in 1 week. I've got some points we're going to start talking about for one night. Because there's so much wrong with our judicial
And there's
system.
always new material.
And there's always new material.
Always.
Man, we can find material each and every week.
Oh, absolutely.
And for all of our viewers and everything, this should be stuff that literally eats at you on the inside. This should be stuff that when we start to talk about some of the things I'm getting ready to talk about, you should go, what in the hell? You should literally be demanding a restructure of a judicial system, because just this week alone, I read so many things about in the court's opinion. There's no room for opinions. This all needs to go. But anyways, so on the federal judge level, and this is according to 2023, do you know how many district judges we have?
I believe it's in the district judges are in the thousands.
Nope. 670 district judges.
Oh, district? Okay.
District. Okay.
Right. My bad.
Circuit judges, we have 606.
Okay.
And then associate justices, which are all part of the Supreme, we have 8. And then we have 1 chief justice.
Okay.
So a total of 9
right.
in the Supreme. So now, the thing is, so for district judges, the annual salary that they're recording.
Okay.
That's not counting all the shady dealings and the crap these people settle in back rooms and everything else. $232,600.
Okay.
Take that times 670.
Right.
Circuit judges, $246,600 per year. Times 606 of those. Associate justices, $285,400, and chief justice, $298,500. We all know They make way more than that because, well, we don't have to say it too long.
Right.
But anyways, that alone accounts for $307,863,300 just for those judges listed there. That in total is 1,285 judges. Across the United States, there are 1,770 judges in 209 different court federal systems that are throughout the whole country. So that breaks down into
1,000 in each system?
No, total within this judicial system. Judges. Okay. Now, that is not counting little county court stuff. This is the district, the circuit.
Well, but and your judges in your county and everything, those are local.
Those we're not counting local judges. These are the ones that branch through the federal judge system.
Well, now wait a second. So that include federal appeals courts and everything?
1,770 judges total.
Okay.
That means after you take the 1,285 from the district, the circuit, the associate, and the chief justice areas,
right,
there's still another 485 that goes in between Article I courts, Court of Appeals, bankruptcy, all the different types like that. That does not count local, municipal, counties, and stuff like that. Okay.
That doesn't include your state justices and your state. Okay.
So because I want you to think about this. Okay, so 307 million. That's just the federal level.
Okay.
That's just those judges I listed. That's not the
Feels
full.
like there's more judges than that in the federal level.
Well, this is where it's going to be revealed even a little bit more. Now, these are statistics that you can pull from the Bureau of Justice Statistics. This is literally where I'm getting this stuff. So if anybody goes, "Oh, you're pulling out your ass," no, I'm not.
Okay.
Well, unless the Bureau of Justice Statistics is a bunch of asses. So that's where we're pulling it from. Anyways, so the government expenditures within the criminal justice system, okay? This was back in 2016.
Okay, so we're talking 7 years ago.
7 years ago, annual cost $295,618,717,000. Now that's broken down within police, the judicial, and the legal, and the corrections department.
Federal.
Okay. That's where I'm starting. I'm starting at a federal level this week. So just in case everybody's going, "Oh, what's he?" We're talking at a federal level.
Okay.
So if you think about that, because if you go on and look what their budget is, they're budgeted like 30 million or 30 billion or something like that. They're spending 295 billion as of 2016.
Okay.
That was a 62% increase in spending from 1997. 66% increase in spending.
So from 1997 to 2016, so basically 19 years, call it 20 years.
Right.
2 decades, it's 66% increase.
66% increase.
Now, those expenditures, did you say that included corrections?
That includes the corrections, too, which we're going to get to in just a second.
So all of your federal prisons,
all of your federal, your district, all of those prisons that are... So that's all of it. I mean, but if you think about that, look at that astronomical number. That's annually. Now, in 2017, it went up another $10 billion to $305 billion a year.
Okay.
For the same corrections. 88% of those funds, now get this is where it's staggering and it starts to go, what the... 88% of that went directly to correctional institutes.
Okay, so to all the prisons.
All the prisons.
88% of it?
88% of that funding of the $305 billion went to corrections facilities.
You guys are going to love my comments about this.
Go ahead and comment away right now. Go ahead.
That's
the beauty of this. So basically... looking at some of the stuff. So let me go over 2021 stats. You got to remember, 2022, it's still right at the beginning. They don't really have those stats out. So I went with the most recent stats that I could find.
Okay.
So for criminal filings, which are what pretty much file into the correction facilities, there were 64,999 cases.
And what year was this?
This was 2021.
2021.
So we're talking just a little over a year ago. Just that 1 year.
So these were new people being introduced into the corrections process.
Yes. Okay. Now, Get this. So what I wanted to do before I read these last few numbers, I wanted to stick that number. So let's
What
say
was that number now?
Let's say 65,000. It was one away from 65,000
in 1 year.
In 1 year. The Supreme Court, for those that you don't know, typically the court hears cases that have been decided in either an appropriate U.S. Court of Appeals or the highest court of any given state.
Yes.
It is then taken to the Supreme Court level.
Right.
Okay. District courts, the judges that oversee these, they decide most appeals from the circuit court cases. Okay. And they see over many of the administrative law appeals from actions by executive branch. This court is mainly federal cases, including civil and criminal cases.
Okay.
So there's your district for those that don't know. Your circuit judges that oversee the circuit courts, they hear all criminal and civil matters not within the jurisdiction of the county courts, including family law, juvenile delinquency, dependency, mental health, probate, guardianship, civil matters over $15,000.
Okay.
So those are your circuit courts. Once again, folks, think about it. These all are within the federal blanket of courts. So that's what it is. So with that said, in our legal system, 65,000 of them in 2021 were criminal cases.
Okay.
There was only one that was lower than criminal filings. Only one lower than criminal filings. And that was appeals. Appeals had 46,165 cases.
Okay.
District filings, going back to what district does. This is administrative law, everything. 526,477 cases.
And I think a lot of those are your political maneuverings and complaints and garbage to try and impede.
It is, because that's all the actions of the executive branch. So if you go and look at those, a good third of those 526,000.
Yep. And this again is still in 2021.
Still in 2021 were brought forth by the executive branch. A third of those filings.
And those are brought forth. It's not like those are brought forth by Joe Biden. Those are brought forth by all of the minions that are part of that branch.
So you're talking over 160,000 of those cases were because of our lazy, inflating executive branch members up there that are supposed to be representing us. That's clogging up the court system, folks. That's clogging up the court system. Now realize, our tax dollars pay for the judicial system. Our tax dollars, because the government has no money, we pay for that. So keep that in mind. As we go into civil filings were 461,000 cases in 2021. And bankruptcy filings were 473,000 cases. Now, folks, you put all those numbers together, you're looking at like 1.7 million filings and cases being handled by 1,700 judges. And we wonder why. So the first point is, we always wonder why when someone is charged with a crime, it takes 4 and 5 years before they ever get in front of a judge. And we're going to, think about it. All right, let's go to even the small things. This is where the first point of our legal system is broken. Take all the crap that's inundated within our court system. We live in a sue-happy society.
Oh, yeah.
Oop, I tripped and stubbed my toe on a parking bumper that's been there forever. It's a parking bumper in a parking lot. Yet judges allow lawyers to bring this crap into court and sue companies for millions of dollars, tying up our tax dollars for that judge, paying those lawyers, paying all of the, if you got a jury involved, we pay the juries. Everything involved, our tax dollars pay for.
Do we pay the jury?
Yes. Well, think about it. They have to pay. Who pays the courts? Our tax dollars feed the courts. The courts have to pay these jurors for coming in there.
I thought you just called in. I don't think you get paid.
You do get paid as a juror.
Really?
Yes.
You get a stipend for that?
If you miss work, you have to. Yes, if you're there.
Okay.
So, anyways, here's the thing. That's bundled in through. Once again.
Okay.
So the whole thing is. So think about this. If in turn, instead of being a sue-happy society and courts not having opinions, would actually uphold the law and translate it properly, when some idiot ambulance-chasing lawyer comes in there and goes, My client was in the parking lot and no one told her there was a parking bumper sticking up 6 inches above the asphalt that looks a little weak to be, precise. And the yellow paint started chipping, so it wasn't highly visible. We want $1.2 million from the grocery store that owns that parking lot. Judge should look and go, get out of my courtroom.
Mm-hmm. Case dismissed.
It's called the use of common sense, folks. I mean, people used to have it. People used to use it. But now, no. People want to sit there and go, oh, I hurt myself. And everyone else is to blame because I'm too stupid to use common sense.
Now, so here's what I'll say.
Go ahead. Because we're going to talk inmates here in a second, too.
Okay. So I'll restrict this just to the civil issues, those types of things, because you're absolutely correct. We live in a sue-happy, it is a litigation-happy society. Everybody wants it's being treated like it's the lottery. And it's been going on that way for a few decades now. And I get people wanting to do this. I get people. The problem is they look at it as though it's their own personal little piggy bank.
Yes.
Right? And it ultimately becomes not about the process of the law making you whole, because that's what it's supposed to be about, right?
Right.
It's supposed to be the civil system is responsible for righting a wrong and making the person who was damaged whole.
Yes.
Right? When we laugh. We've laughed for years about the idea that, you have a shirt or something and it says, do not iron while wearing.
Yeah.
And we've always laughed about the idea that obviously
somebody
did it.
Do not use the hairdryer in the tub.
Some moron, some moron put that shirt on or or those pair of pants and thought, oh, I got ironed and didn't realize, right? I'm sorry. You're not and
if
this is probably not
dumb.
this is probably not a good way to say it, but the truth is you're not entitled to be recompensed for your stupidity.
Amen.
Okay?
Amen.
There's a difference between a bad actor either not fulfilling a reasonable obligation, not doing what they should, due diligence to protect the clientele or the public. There's a big difference between that and asking someone to give you a payout because you're stupid.
Yeah.
Because you're incapable of paying attention to the rules.
Yep.
What's one of the things we learned when we were younger and you were learning general rules about the law? That ignorance is no defense under the law, right?
No.
Ignorance of the law
shouldn't be. In today's times, they allow it.
But that's about, look, if you don't know that there's a law, for example, in I don't know, Kansas City, Kansas, that says you're not allowed to spit on the sidewalk. If you spit on the sidewalk and the cop cites you, you can't say, well, I didn't know you had a... Nope, sorry, but it's a law. Ignorance of the law is not a defense. And I'm sorry, by the same token, stupidity is not a good defense.
Lack of use of your common sense. Perfect example. That I think one of the best examples of all time. Was it a lady that spilled the coffee at McDonald's, or was it a guy? I don't even remember. But... it said hot coffee.
Yes.
But spilled it on her and got all kinds of money from McDonald's.
Well,
to me, that was dumb.
Now, here's...
the court should have looked and said, if you don't realize hot coffee can scald you.
Yes. The crazy part about that, what I learned after the fact from we originally heard about it, their ruling centered not around the fact that it was hot coffee, and you've had recent experience with probably something similar, and that is the attorney went through the process of finding out there was something wrong with the calibration on their machine that made the coffee way hotter than it should have been. The point was still, to me, anyway, I'm sorry, is it was hot coffee. I mean, what's the standard temperature for coffee? Almost 200 degrees?
Something.
198, 196, whatever.
About 100, I think around 189 to 198.
Something like that. Okay, it's hot.
It's real freaking hot.
It's hot. I've spilled it on my hand before. It's not pleasant.
No.
But it's all of those things that go into that, right? It's not, it just, the basic premise is the difference between being damaged because of negligence okay, because someone didn't do something correctly, and you being stupid.
But they're opening. Here's the problem, and we've allowed this through the beginning of that, allowing people to claim their stupidity as a defense,
Right.
to get their way and to
Yes.
get money out of these honest companies.
Yes.
They've opened this massive doorway. It's now not just a door; it's a massive gate
Right.
that people flow through every day here in the United States and take advantage of honest companies, honest people, honest organizations, and everything else because they've got a little manipulative, and I don't know how they sleep with themselves, little ambulance chasing prick that goes out and looks for ways to twist, manipulate, poke holes in, find a way to twist it and bend it to fit their client.
There's another problem, and I think it folds in with the class action suits and other things of that nature. And the politicians use this regularly, as well as the activists.
Yeah, they do.
And that is what they do is, okay, you live again in Kansas City, Kansas. Now there's a county court, there's a district court, a circuit court. There's all kinds of courts that are pertinent to that particular area, right?
Right.
Well, what you get, and I apologize, I'm a wee bit ignorant of how they manage to do this, but the term judge shopping, right?
Right.
What they do is the activists and the ambulance chasers and others, they file these class action lawsuits, but they do it also for the purpose of looking for the district, the judge, the court that's going to be favorable to their argument.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely.
And that's another problem. If the plaintiff is in Kansas, it should have to be in a Kansas circuit court, district
you shouldn't
court,
be able
whatever.
to hop on over to North Carolina to get your way.
Exactly, right? The McDonald's was in Kansas, or the meat plant, or the whatever was there.
Whatever it is.
That's what you get handled.
Agreed.
Now, and there's a process that allows that to go up to the Supreme Court if it's necessary. So, look, I'm with you. My thing is, it all comes back to some simple principles, right? You can't award stupidity. And common sense, there's nothing wrong with common sense in the legal system. There has to be a certain level of common sense where before it ever becomes an actual trial or an actual situation where the judge, like you said, looks at the attorney and says, no.
Get out of here with that.
We're
not going to tie up
I'm throwing
the
it
judge,
out. You're done.
the court, this building, possible jurors, or anybody else. We're not wasting taxpayer dollars on this nonsense.
Nope.
If your client wasn't smart enough to know where it said hot coffee, that it was hot, live with your scar, move along.
Standing on the top of the ladder, putting your finger in a light socket. The list
through
is
a parking lot.
The list is endless.
Because what you're doing is now you're opening up, like I said, this massive gateway to where now people could just go in. You're working in a restaurant. You look at the boiling vat of oil that you're going to put French fries in. Something falls in. You go, I can reach in quick enough. Oh, crap. Melted my hand off. Mm-hmm. Let me sue the company because they didn't tell me the oil was so hot that my skin would instantly melt. No. Common sense. Get out of the courtroom.
The load this creates on businesses for documentation and training and information and all the
hours upon hours
ridiculous.
upon hours upon hours of time they have to put in for production of documents and things like that. The senseless thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars used. It's a waste. Mm-hmm. Taxpayer dollars, folks. Taxpayer dollars. Keep that in mind. So let's go in and figure out. Let's move along, because I think moving forward throughout the weeks, what we'll do is we'll break this down by districts. We'll find a specific case each week.
Well, I think, you highlight it now. We kind of talk about the overarching process.
Let's go ahead and look what the state prison cost per inmate is.
Yep.
This one's fun. So, prison population. So let's look at the overall population within 45 states of the U.S. states.
Okay.
Is 1,288,818 inmates.
That's just federal prisons.
That's just federal. Once again, that's where we're talking tonight, federal prison. Okay? Some of your highest, Florida, 100,000, 567,000, which is an annual cost of $1,917,735,951, with an average of $19,069 per inmate, loaded on the taxpayers of the state of Florida per inmate. Okay. California, 132,992 inmates.
Wow.
$8,596,902,049. $64,642 per inmate is what it costs.
It's California, right?
It's California.
So you expect.
So I'm not going to read all 45, but I'm just looking at some of the higher states where they got them going on. Texas, 149,159. Now, there, for having a higher number than Florida, they only spend $3,283,213,997, 22,000 per inmate.
Okay.
If you look through all of these and go down through it, we're spending just on these inmates, $42,883,537,000. Taxpayer dollars, folks.
Yep.
Taxpayer dollars annually. This is because these guys get to sit in there and get a free education on your tax dollar. They get free medical on your tax dollar that you have to pay for yourself. They get free education that you have to pay for. They get all this stuff handed to them, when in reality, they should get a couple pair of sweatsuits. They should be out working their butts off. I don't care if it's just breaking rocks all day. Make them break rocks. Make them work for it. Give them a vitamin every day and give them some toast and some oatmeal or something. They don't need steaks and all the other crap they feed them in there. You don't need TVs in the system. Get rid of the cable and all the other crap that goes in there. They don't need workout stuff so that they can get big and strong, so that when you release them back into society, they go and kill and rape and maim and steal and do everything again that got them there in the first place. Quit it. Quit wasting our tax dollars. Quit making it to where these people are in there wasting our time, our money, tying up the court systems and everything else. Average cost, $33,274 per inmate.
So, again, we're just talking about the federal system.
Just talking federal system, folks.
Here's where we're going to have some fun. Buzz is going to smack me. So let's start with just the system as a whole, right?
All right.
So let's just talk about, like, healthcare, things like this. Now, point number one, if you're going to put them in prison, you got to take care of them.
Yep.
They have to have healthcare. Sorry.
I get that.
You just got to do it.
I get that.
Now, they don't have to have the primo, the bet.
Nope.
They ought to get nothing more than the senior citizens get.
Yep.
Right? Whatever the senior citizens get as healthcare, that's what the inmates ought to get. Okay?
Yep.
Now, let's talk about the prison population in general. Now, I think you and I have had a discussion previously. I'm personally in favor of just legalizing the drugs, getting it over with.
I think you and I have come to that decision.
It kind of puts me at odds with certain people, but I've just reached this point where I say, now, look, you're an adult. You want to put that in your body, fine. Now, if you think back, you remember one of the things I said was my caveat, my condition for permitting the legalization by the federal government of drugs is this.
They need to sign a waiver.
You have to sign a waiver, irrevocable. No way out of it. Nothing, period. No court gets to change it later. End of story.
You don't get to go, because I was under the influence, I murdered that person.
If you sit around getting high all day long and you don't show up to work and you lose your job, sorry, not my problem. Okay? If you go out and you commit robberies or thefts to feed your drug habit because you lost your job and you got no money, not our fault. You do not get to plead, hey, I was high on cocaine. I didn't know what I was doing. Nope. Sorry. That was your choice.
You bet.
You have to answer for everything you do while you're using it. Now, if you're the recreational pot user and you want to bake your brain every weekend or in the evenings and you show up to work and do your job and you're not a problem. However, I think you should be subject to the same sort of under the influence laws that anybody who's drinking has to deal with when you're driving, operating machinery, doing things that, okay?
Yep.
Under those circumstances, and by the way, we are not putting you in hospice care and taking care of you when you have overdosed on freaking heroin.
No.
Sorry.
No.
There, you can have a facility. That's up to the town and the community, whatever. You guys want to start a facility, go right ahead. We're not paying for it.
And we've talked about that a dozen times over the years on Garage Politics and said, do them.
Yeah.
But when it catches up with you and it ruins your life, That was by your choice.
And I think then what you do is you go through any of your quote unquote drug offenders.
Yes.
Not talking about violent offenders, thieves, robbers, other people. I'm talking about people that got arrested for having an ounce of cocaine or pot or whatever it was they had. Get them out.
Yeah.
Out. Okay. No, we're not putting any more money into you.
That's tons of people out of the judicial
prison.
system. Done.
Out. You're finished.
Before you get released, you're signing that waiver saying,
Yes.
we know you're doing drugs.
Yep.
You do not get to claim that you, because of the influence of drugs, that's why you committed the crime. That you get nope. You're gonna suffer the consequences.
Yeah, and quite frankly, because having everybody sign a waiver would be a pain in the butt, it ought to just be a law. Real simple.
Yep.
You cannot use drugs as an excuse. They're
you do
legal.
Drugs. Yep.
Just like you can't. I was under the influence of alcohol. Nope, not going to work.
Well,
Sorry.
Here's something else we could clear out our system now. Because these next couple of figures I'm going to play is going to show why we have so much repeat crap.
Okay.
With criminals going on.
Yeah.
As of 2020, in our judicial system, within all of our correctional institutes, we spend over $82 million annually on those on death row.
Yep.
At a federal level, there are only 51 inmates on death row.
That's it.
That's it on a federal level.
We spend how much?
82 million.
I'm sorry.
Alabama has 170. Arizona has 116. Arkansas has a whopping 29. California, think about where we're at, 703 on death row, 337 in Florida, 40 in Georgia, 8 in Idaho, 10 in Kansas, 26 in Kentucky, 66 in Louisiana, 118 in Pennsylvania, 36 in South Carolina, 50 in Tennessee, 206 in Texas, 7 in Utah, 2 in Virginia. The other states have no inmates on death row.
Right.
They've either cleared them off or some of the open carry states don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
So now let's go and look from 1953 through 2020.
All right.
In 1953, there were 131 total inmates on death row.
Okay.
That same year, 62 of them were put to death. Okay. They didn't get to just sit there and wait.
Right.
62 were put to death. That's 47.3% execution rate.
Right.
1954, there was 147 death row inmates. 81 of them were executed that year. 55.1%. 1955, 125, 76 were taken out, 60.8%.
Okay.
And then this is where we started going, shouldn't we be fair to these people? No. 1956, 146, they did 65, that was 44.5. 57, 151, they did 65, 43%. 58. Let's jump ahead a little bit. Let's go all the way up here to 1960. There were 212 total death row inmates. They only did 56 of them, which was 26.4. In 1975, there was 48 inmates. Did I skip a page?
That's okay.
It's okay. We can skip some. So we're jumping ahead. 1975. Yeah. There was 488 total death row inmates. How many did we execute?
30.
None.
None.
Not a one.
Oh.
Let's jump ahead to 1985. There was 1,575 inmates on
85?
death row. This is 85. 10 years later, tripled it. They only put 18 of them to death. 1.1% execution rate.
Okay.
The execution rates ever since have been anywhere from 1.0 to 0.0, on an average of 1.4% execution rate for inmates on death row. When you look at that, let me get back to this other one. Where's my
So
one
we've
last
steadily
little page?
increased.
We've steadily increased the amount of people on death row and steadily decreased the amount that we actually pull the trigger. The thing is, when you go and you look at these same statistics, these people are spending anywhere from 10 to 18 years on death row.
Before their sentence is carried out.
Before their sentence is carried out, or they're let go. There's a big problem. There's no punishment for the crime, folks. How many times do we hear nightly on the news and everything else that it's some guy who was just released or released within the past month, killed someone, raped someone, got caught in a drug deal again, gone bad? How many more times? You all want to, they're holding the left hand out going, oh, gun control, gun control, gun control. Mm-hmm. Think about this, folks. Our government, who's supposed to be serving us, is out there talking about gun control. They're not talking about criminal control. Our judicial system needs an overhaul. Clear off death row. Get rid of these people. We're spending $85 million a year just on the death row people. And they're sitting there for 18 years. Add that up times $85 million. I've said all along, and it's something that really needs to be considered. Mm-hmm. If you're sentenced to death, if we just started putting punishment to fit the crimes, mm-hmm. I guarantee our crime rates would go down instead of up. They're constantly going up, guys, just like these numbers. It's because we're not even punishing people anymore. We're turning them loose back into society. Why? Because we're overcrowded in our institutions.
Well, that's the facing reason. That's
not the whole reason. These are just small points I'm trying to make because I know I'm running kind of long here.
Yeah.
The whole thing is, though, if we started clearing them out, you get 1 year. If you are found guilty,
12 months.
If you're found guilty and you're sentenced to death, you get 1 year. 1 year for your judicial team, your legal team, to find irrefutable evidence that dismisses the fact and proves your innocence beyond a shadow of a doubt. If within that time they do not, you're taken down to the gas chamber or the injection chamber or the electric chair or the gallows or a firing squad. I don't care. There should be nothing merciful about your ending of life because you ended someone's life. It should be done without remorse or anything else, and God have mercy on your soul. And let's clear off the doggone system. You could save $85 million a year right there. The longest term you'd have on death row is 1 year.
1 year.
1 year. And that's it. And you think about how quick that adds up and how quick the national deficit alone. If you did that and you started really having our judges interpret the law properly, read it and use it, not opinionate it, think about all the dollars we can save on an annual basis within the judicial system. There's so much more to this.
Look, there's a couple of things I want to add into that real quick, okay? I'm totally with the 12 months, right? But also, all of the other crimes in the system have to be met with proper sentences. Now, me personally, I'm all for rape. People who perpetrate rape
cut it off.
No, you get the death sentence, just like murderers. I'm sorry.
Think so.
The rape stuff has to stop.
Well, my opinion is
all over the
anything against a child, death. Plain and simple. You don't mess with children, buddy. That stops.
But then again, and then here's the other part, right? I know you've seen it or heard some version of it, the point where it says it's easier to build good men than it is to fix broken men.
Yes.
Okay? The unfortunate truth is, far too often, once you take an individual and put them into that system,
they just get worse.
They're never the same again.
No.
They're never the same again. So the first thing is, in conjunction with this, and I am all for being just as hard on criminals as we can be, but you have to stop permitting government and activists and the 30,000 gender people and all the others to destroy our society, to remove our morality, to destroy our families, to tear up people. Because ultimately, the problem with the legal system, the problem with crime, the problem with our communities is us.
It is.
We're the problem. Our families, or lack thereof. Our teaching proper guidance to our children, or lack thereof. These things are doing what we say. You know, we blame it on society. We blame it on it. But the truth is, it's because we're allowing this to happen.
Oh,
right?
I don't blame society. I've always said it starts at home.
There are absolutely, unquestionably evil people on this earth.
Always has been. Always will be.
I don't care what you do in society. There will be serial killers, and
punish them.
Punish them. And then you do everything you can to reclaim every soul you can from these processes. But those who commit unpardonable sins, understand, you can go to God for redemption, but it's not permitted in society.
Nope.
And I'm sorry, you must be expunged from society. Make your peace with God, and off you go. We're done. Bye-bye. Now, personally, I'm a big fan of, it's really simple, firing squads.
Yeah.
Right? No electricity, one bullet.
You heard me say once before, and this may twist some people out there, but I've said it once before. You can give jobs to some of these sick twists that keep them straight, that keep them from going out and performing it. Some of those sick twists, let them be executioners. They did it back in medieval times. Let an execute. You got somebody that likes to kill people.
Wasn't the guy next door.
Yeah, but think about it. You can employ them. You people that have the bleeding hearts that go, oh, you got to be compassionate. No, I don't. Let the sick whack job be the one that's the executioner, and he can sign a waiver saying, as long as you only execute those that we put before you, we'll allow you to live. You go and kill an innocent soul, you'll be the next one on the chopping block. Employ them.
And the bleeding hearts are the same people that tell us fences don't work to keep out illegal aliens, but they put fences around their own houses.
The way I look at it is, for all the bleeding hearts, remove all their doors and their fences that keep people out. No locks allowed on your houses.
Well, and if
all those that say that you need to just give them a hug and try to be understanding.
Well, we'll send the death row inmates to your house, and you can give them a hug.
You sit there and hug the death row inmates and all the gangbangers and everybody else that are career criminals, still associating with the outside, running drug cartels and everything else from sitting in a padded cell that your taxpayer dollars are paid for. Let them sit at your house, buddy, that has no doors or windows. There you go. Let's see how that works out for you.
Fired you up, didn't it?
Yes, it did. This is what fired up Buzz looks like. Okay.
I love it.
And with that said,
I love it.
We'll have some other weeks of Law and Odor.
Law and Odor. That's
coming
good. Well, that's a good start. It's a good start. That leaves us a lot of stuff to cover, dude.
Because
you do it little bite-sized pieces and everything as we go forward with stuff. You pull something out, and
because I realized something today. I was looking at the Justice statue. With the blindfold. That doesn't mean that Justice is blind. That just means she's trying not to look at all the stupid crap that goes on in our world nowadays and is allowed to slide. That's why she's blindfolded. She should have a little clothespin on her, too.
Here's the thing. It's like everything else in our system. The problem is we reached a point as a society where too many of us thought, well, somebody's watching the store, so I'm going to go party and have a good time and enjoy my life, and I'll let those people watch it. And while you were off partying, while we were off enjoying our lives, the people with no integrity and no scruples, they moved in and took over, and they're just destroying the place. So
Patriot's probably thinking, damn, you just ate up 90% of the show just tonight on your little segment.
It's all right, man. Hey. But He's
probably
cool.
got 13 pages of notes, and we've got about 20 or 15 minutes left, something like that.
I have one page of simple stuff I wanted to go over.
Would you like to get on your soapbox?
Sure, man. Yeah. Sure, I'm all for that. Was soapbox enough for both of us there. Wow.
Oh, sorry. There you go.
You double tapped.
I did. Oh, yeah, baby.
So part of the notes I already went through was the 99 balloons deal, but it occurred to me, and what kind of started this was watching the balloon situation, right? Yes. Now look, I don't want to belittle the circumstances, okay, or the meaningful nature of other nations, especially those that are our enemies, obviously looking to surveil our country. I don't want to make light of that. I don't want to try to minimize it or make it sound like it's not important. But the old adage about don't let them what is it? Don't let the left hand know what the right hand's doing type deal. Right. And you've always got to be careful, especially with politicians, because they've got you looking over here while they're doing something over here. So I cannot help. I have gotten so cynical now. I cannot help but think when something like this happens, and I look at it and I think, wow, it's kind of important, but I mean, for God's sake, it couldn't have been that bad. You let the stinking balloon, go across the entire country.
Or did that balloon take off from one of those farms that China is buying here?
They
next to the farm.
They tracked that balloon all the way from China, dude.
Did they really?
Oh yeah, they knew that balloon was going
and it
from
didn't get shot while it was over the Pacific.
No, and of course that's the thing that makes me think. Now you can't just shoot it down when it's over the Pacific because it's their property. But
sure.
The moment it crossed into American airspace, the moment it got up there to the Aleutian Islands, okay, and I'm sorry, take it down. It should have been done. Should have been a non-issue. There you go, right then and there.
Bam!
So, but what it made me mindful of was, and I've spoken a little bit about this before, but it just made me mindful of the completely feckless nature of our leadership in this administration, the people running our country. Okay,
oh man,
and your word of the week this week is peccadillo. Okay.
Okay.
Look it up. I'm not giving you the definition. You look it up. Look up peccadillo because we are being.
I don't like homework, dude.
We are being fed a lot of peccadillos, right? We're being told a lot of things.
Peccadillo.
Peccadillo. CC. Excuse me. 2 C's. Peccadillo. Anyway. And
a small, relatively unimportant offense.
Yes. So we get a lot of this stuff.
Or
right?
sin.
We get a lot of this stuff. We get a ton of these things where it's like, oh, look over here, there's a major issue, there's a major problem, and then you find out a week later they were in the middle of passing a piece of legislation.
It was just a peccadillo.
Right? So
I'm going to be using that a lot.
And look, ever since COVID, ever since the quote-unquote pandemic,
peccadillo.
Right? I have been cynical about the whole process. I did not used to be this cynical. I have really amped up the cynicism level.
You and our two best friends, the three of you, dear God, peas in a pod.
Okay, here's something for you, right? I'm not connecting any dots right now. I'm just saying, right? Now, let's start with, you go through the balloon deal,
okay,
and then we have this series of train derailments, okay?
Right.
I'm not saying why. I'm not saying what caused them. I'm not getting into any sort of speculation. I'm just saying it is kind of interesting to have all of these train derailments, one after the other.
Yeah, all of a sudden. We haven't had them in, Lord knows, bless you.
Oh, sorry.
We haven't had them in Lord knows how long. Now, all of a sudden, it's just like one right after the other.
You get a derailment every once in a while, but it seems that every one of these has been with hazardous materials. Now, I want to take you back to the end of the Trump administration. On day one of Joe Biden's administration, the very first thing he did was shut down the Keystone XL pipeline.
Immediately.
One of the comments that was made was, well, we've got trains to transport all of these chemicals and petroleum, and you got trucks and everything else. Pipelines, the pipelines are dirty, unsafe, and environmentally unsound. We don't need pipelines.
Right.
And then you've got this whole string of these derailments with the trains. Now, we had this almost union strike, was it last year with the train workers that Biden stepped in and took care of. So, you go over that however you want to. My point is, something's wrong with that, right?
Yep.
That whole process just stinks to high heaven. Never mind the fact, the single biggest investor in the train system in the United States is?
Saudi Arabia?
No.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Warren Buffett.
Oh, imagine that.
You know who Warren gives all his money to?
Worthless organizations.
Democrats.
Yeah. Peccadillos.
Yeah.
Peccadillos. Peccadillos?
I don't know.
Peccadillos.
My nose has gotten completely winky. I mean, here. Anyway.
You're fading.
No.
All right.
So the other thing is, now, Zelensky made a comment today that if China and Russia join up, it'll be World War III. Okay? Russia has made it clear that us sending fighter jets to the Ukraine is the last straw. China is announcing that they're willing to offer support and help to Russia. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. And we've got a president who's made it clear we're in this for the long haul, whatever they need, all the, and you got Lindsey Graham, remember our favorite guy from South Carolina. Lindsey's out there saying we need to send the fighter jets to him. Now, I'm going to make this clear. I don't want a bunch of emails or things on Facebook or Twitter telling me that I'm getting soft on things. But let me tell you something. I absolutely deplore. I can't stand Putin.
No,
Putin's a madman.
Yes, he is.
But I'm going to go on record right now. This is not an unending process whereby we continue to pour money we do not have. Funds we do not have. We are literally continually, day by day, going farther and farther in debt. And we are giving Ukraine one blank check after another. Seriously? With a man who is obviously being controlled by the people in the administration. He's not smart enough to know whether he's filled up his diaper yet or not. And we've got people running around getting him to make proclamations about literally, potentially World War III.
Right.
Okay? According to the Epoch Times, the Biden administration has negotiated a deal to give the WHO, the World Health Organization, authority over U.S. pandemic policies. Now, I don't know what Biden and the rest of the people think they're doing, but that would fall under the rules about treaties and what have you, and it still has to be approved by the Senate. Not that the Democrats in the Senate wouldn't approve it anyway, or Congress has to ratify that, okay? But seriously? You give the World Health Organization, which, by the way, is pretty much a wholly owned subsidiary of China.
Oh, of course.
I mean, they overlooked all the stuff with China. They're covering all this up. Anyway. Now, let's go. And I know some of this stuff is not exactly new in the last couple of days. It's just stuff that keeps bothering me. And I'm not making proclamations. I'm not saying this person's this dirty and this person's beholden to that group or whatever. I'm just saying,
right.
It's stuff that makes you think. So the government, state governments and the federal government continue pushing this idea of electric vehicles, right? They keep telling us they're going to mandate EVs and they're going to ban our ability to drive, petroleum-based combustion engine cars. Okay, now,
And look, I'm not against them. I'm just saying don't mandate them.
Well,
first off, our power grid can't even support all of them.
I'm not against them either, but here's just a simple thing for you to think of, right? Yeah. If you're going to mandate electric vehicles, okay, so wouldn't you think you'd want American industry producing batteries and materials?
Yeah.
And everything? Okay, yet we have signed, the president has signed an executive order banning the mining of rare earth minerals here in the United States.
Which are needed for the lithium ion.
Who's the biggest miner of all these rare earth minerals? China,
yep.
And how are they doing it? Well, for the last several decades, they've been going in and aggressively courting countries in Africa to get their mining rights for all of the largest supplies in the world of lithium and cobalt and all these other things. I guess they have to make these batteries.
Fighting everyone's wars for them.
Yeah. So again, right, doing what seems best for China, doing what seems worst for America. It's just something you got to look at. So another $500 million to Ukraine. We already covered that. Now, here's the one part about that, though, I didn't bring up. Biden mentioned today on the news that in that $500 million, an additional $500 million we're sending to Ukraine. It's going to help keep hospitals open, right? And it's going to help pay for pensions and other government expenditures for Ukraine. Hold on just a second. Wait a second. Okay, we have homeless veterans in this country.
Here in the U.S.
Homeless people in general, right?
In the U.S.
We have elderly people struggling to make it on Medicare Part C
here
and
in
Social
the US.
Security here in the U.S. Okay, now let's be clear up front. I am an advocate against all of these government programs. I personally think that you need to take the people who are on Social Security right now, you got to pay those people. The people who are coming up who have not been able to prepare for it, you got to take care of them because you promised to do so.
And all these people that are totally capable of going out and working, no. You don't get to sit back and just collect anymore.
But we've got to do something to privatize Social Security for the people who are coming down the pike. Okay.
Yep.
But having said that, and I'm a fan of homeless problems and all this other being resolved by churches and synagogues and mosques and local communities, not by the government.
Going back to the old verbiage, it says it takes a village.
Yeah, well, I'm not a big fan of that one either. But
Well, it does on those organizations, though.
Yes.
If we're going to ever get them out of the
Yes.
federal, it does have to take a village, dude.
Yes. No.
That's
on
what I'm
that,
saying.
I was talking about Hillary Clinton's book about raising children.
No. I wasn't talking about children. I'm talking about these issues that our federal level
I was just
shouldn't
being
even
a
be.
snot.
I know you were.
I'm sorry.
I know you were.
But the thing is,
Just a peccadillo.
Having said all that, you're going to misuse that so bad. Having said that, if we're going to keep pouring money into other countries, stop it. You're going to pour money, then spend it here.
Spend it right here at home.
Okay? Let's do something to solve some of the problems here. I'm tired of it. Look, if you're going to spend the money anyway and I have no control over it, you're going to keep ripping me off and dipping your hand in my pocket for more taxes and screwing me out of everything that I'm working to earn. Then, you know what? Spend it here.
Yep.
Quit sending it to Ukraine.
But I've been saying that for years. I said it years and years ago. It was over a decade ago when I said, we got to start focusing here on the home front and taking care of the home front and taking care of Americans and taking care of our country. Quit going over and fighting everybody's wars.
Yes.
No. Quit sending money to every country on the planet.
Yes.
We've got problems here at home. If we want to remain the greatest country there is, we have to fix it, focus on it, and repair it here.
Now, let me tell you why. Now, look, there's no solving the problem without addressing entitlements and other parts of the budget that are eating up most of the money.
You betcha.
However,
Lifetime pensions.
I did not. No, now listen to me. I did not look up the whole statistic. I should have gone and looked it up so I got the exact number.
You should have.
Right? Now, there's 3 branches of government, right? Yep. Legislative, executive, and judicial. All right. Yep. The executive branch, most of these agencies, the EPA and all this stuff, those fall under the executive branch.
Yep, that bring 160,000 cases to our overloaded
courts.
That's
just that's judicial. Hold on. The
executive branch.
The people serving under the executive branch, right, under the president. Do you know how many people are employed by the executive branch of
I don't
government?
even want to take a guess on that. Thousands.
I believe... Now, I'm going to look the number up, so please don't hold me this. I'll go look it up for next show.
Use the word approximate.
1.8 million people.
Ridiculous.
That is employed in all of the agencies that fall under the executive branch.
Sucking off taxpayer dollars, baby.
Here's the light at the end of the tunnel. Hopefully it's not a train, right? That I heard today from a... Now, every announcement I make while we have one house of Congress and I say, ooh, the Republicans are proposing this, I reserve the right to hammer them to pieces if and when they ever take the Senate back as well, because I'm telling you right now, this is my moment of clarity. I'm going to tell you that you're just beating the heck out of that
microphone tonight.
This is my moment of clarity and my prediction. I am going to tell you right now. When they have both houses of Congress and the president, they won't do any of this.
No.
Okay, but they proposed a cap. Do you know that? And this came from the idea that, we capped the House of Representatives, right? Yeah. You recall when we were talking about just recently, representation was to be one representative for every 30,000 members or citizens in their district, right?
Yes.
Okay, or in the state. One rep for every 30,000. Now, I want you to think about that. How many people? We got 360 million people in America.
Yeah.
360 million. So you do the math. Okay, it's a lot of representatives. Well, they capped it at 435 and said that's it. There's 435 representatives. Then they apportion that each year.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the proposal from the Republicans right now is, well, if we can cap the number of representatives in Congress, it stands to reason we can cap the number of employees for the executive branch.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So they have decided, is that my 2-minute warning or 5 minutes?
No, that's it's time to wrap it up.
Oh, crud, man. Oh, so I like that idea, but we'll come back to that. There'll be more because I'm just going to do this, right? In the upcoming weeks, and this goes out for weeks, maybe all the way through the summer, okay? Guns, everything to go along with that. Statistics, information, the different stories they're using to try and take our guns and restrict our guns. Plus, the good news that's been happening, fighting back against bump stocks and pistol braces and all the other things, right?
You know what's beautiful with everything that you're doing there? We can also tie in something from the judicial, from the Law and Odor section.
We're going to do welfare, corruption, lies, and distortions for the government. Cancel culture. Gender politics. Write this one down. This is my favorite. This is my restructuring of one of their policies right now. Die. DIE, diversity, inclusion, and equity. I refuse to call it diversity, equity, inclusion. It's die, because that's exactly what it's doing. It's going to cause business to die.
Yep.
ESG, the environmental, social, and governance. We're going to talk about that. The EV versus petroleum thing.
Yep.
Never mind that I just talked about how they're restricting. So wait do you hear some of the stuff about what it really costs to produce an electric vehicle battery or an electric vehicle, the amount of energy that goes into it versus a combustion engine.
And then we'll delve into the dawn of human resources.
Right? And we're going to have some fun all the way out through the summer. We're going to have some fun on some of these issues. And you're right. We'll tie it in with your stuff with Law and Odor. And we're going to do some cool stuff.
What's that smell?
You know, the other thing,
judicial system!
I got to say this. You guys, if you missed it on the news, you got to check it once in a while. Kamala Harris got nailed because she was referring to the Nord Stream pipeline as Nordstrom. The Nordstrom pipeline.
Nordstrom.
You know,
Nice.
the department store.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious.
Good job.
You know, and then you got, and then you've always got Pete Buttigieg chest feeding.
You know what we do need to do, though, before we wrap it up? We need to give a shout-out this week.
Do the shout-out, man. Make it happen. I'm out
Now,
of
as
here.
always, what we're going to do is we're going to give a shout-out to our military, to our police, our first responders, our paramedics, firefighters, all you guys that every day you strap on a badge and put on that uniform, you're putting your life on the line.
Yes.
Our military, with your families, too. You go out there and you fight for our freedoms. That's why we're still the greatest country on the face of the planet. I don't care what anybody says, but we got to defend that, guys. Let's start having the 6 of those people going out and defending ours. We got to fight the home front fight. So with those shout outs, we're going to do a special shout out to a family in South Carolina. Last week, or actually it was just the 17th. I think that was Friday. Friday, they were having pizza delivered to their home. They ordered Domino's, and Barbara, who was a delivery driver for Domino's Pizza, who is also 72 years old, was caught on their doorbell cam as she was trying to walk. You could tell as she was walking to the door, she having a problem walking. She went to go up the steps and she fell.
Okay.
And of course, this delivery driver was worried more about the food. The family didn't care about the food. They were worried about this delivery driver. And it broke their hearts. The wife said it broke her heart to see this happen out there. And she just realized, here's someone from our elderly society that's still trying to make a living because they just don't have enough. So she wanted to make sure that she got a tip to remember. So she put a GoFundMe up, told the story, and even showed the video of what happened to this lady. This family, God bless you guys for this. This is what
and
it
American
means
citizens who participated.
American citizens, all you people that went and to that GoFundMe, they raised $263,000 for the delivery driver. She retired from Domino's. God bless her. She doesn't have to work that hard anymore because this family wanted to make sure she had enough to cover whatever she needed, including if she was injured from the fall and everything. So it's got to warm your heart, people, to hear this kind of stuff. So huge shout out to this family. They didn't really name the family or anything, but the family is from, let's see, where is it? Moncks Corner, South Carolina. So, guys, challenge as always before we sign off here. We want to make sure that you just show some compassion. Let's get back to being humans. Let's get back to being Americans. Let's look out for each other. Say hi to someone you normally wouldn't. Wave to someone that you wouldn't. Shake a hand. Pay for a meal. Do something. Forget the whole pay it forward thing. That's a new thing. Be human. Be compassionate. Look out for one another. Love one another. And through it all, let's start getting back to looking how we can fix America and get it back to being the greatest nation and quit letting all these people up at the top screw up our country. You got a quote.
From the great Ronald Reagan, this is my quote of the week. Government does not solve problems. It subsidizes them.
Excellent. With that said, visit us over at www.garagepolitics.com. Check out all the stuff there we told you about at the beginning of the show. But until then, we'll see you next week here
in the garage.
Yes, sir.